I'm going to go ahead and just start things off with "O Come All Ye Faithful," and then I'll come back and kind of introduce and talk a little more about the program. Now, it's probably fair to say that you've not been to an organ concert where you've had or heard timpani rolled with the feet. That's the B.J. Meyer guarantee. You come to a B.J. Meyer concert, you'll get timpani with the feet. So, well, Merry Christmas. Welcome. Welcome. It's wonderful to see all of you here. I see some familiar faces. I see some faces that I don't necessarily recognize. But somebody once told me a stranger is a friend you haven't met. So there you go. There you go. Well, that was, of course, O Come All Ye Faithful. That was arranged by Dr. Alvin Whitworth, who was a graduate of Asbury Seminary, and later went on to become the professor of church music at that same university. I love this arrangement, and I love the way it's constructed. It builds, and the way it builds, though, is very interesting because outside of just sort of normal dynamic and stop changes, he uses tone centers or keys to change. If you kind of caught on at the very beginning, you were in one tone center or one idea, and then it shifted, and then shifted again and again and again. And that is something that just different arrangements that I've played by him, he's very fond of using that. I like that. I appreciate that as a composer and an arranger. It's a very clever way of keeping, excitement and interest. So that's one of my favorites, and it's one of those that I have to dust off every year at this time of year. So today's program notes, first of all, hopefully everybody grabbed a program on their way in. If you did not, hopefully there may still be some in the back, but you don't have to run up and get any right now, but you may want to grab one on your way out. There's just kind of a few things outside of the sort of the order of the program. There's some program notes. Some of the things that I sort of typically talk about at a B.J. Meyer concert, I'm not going to necessarily talk about because I put them in print. So like on the back, there's information about the organ that I'm playing and what makes it kind of unique and special. And then there's just some bio info, if you will, about me. I was lovingly told by a few people that love me that I tend to ramble. So I figured if I could put certain things in print, maybe, there you go, we'll keep things moving. So anyway, I won't bore you with that, but take a look at that. The next two selections that I'm going to play, I'm going to go ahead and kind of introduce those and play those back to back. The first selection I'm going to play is an original composition that I wrote. And it's simply called Sing a Joyful Song. It's not technically a Christmas selection, but it's a fun, lively, upbeat selection, and I thought it would just fit in nicely here for the program, to be honest. I wrote it a couple months ago, and its title basically says it all. It's a nice little light melody that you'll kind of hear coming from the speakers in the back, and the accompaniment part you'll kind of hear from the speakers in the front, so you kind of get this antiphonal idea. I apologize, I don't know what's going on with this microphone, so I'll just keep my hand there so it doesn't move. And it just kind of basically from the word go, it just kind of keeps on going, keeps on moving. The second selection I'm going to play, okay, we got somebody knowledgeable. Perfect, thank you. All right, thanks so much, that's great. The second selection I'm going to play is the exact opposite character. It is slower in tempo, it's minor in tone center, and it's an original work by Carl Bennett entitled The Promised Messiah. As its title implies, it's an Advent prelude or piece. It's very short, and it kind of leaves you wanting a little more. So first I'll do the Sing a Joyful Song, and then I'll go into The Promised Messiah. We're going to do a little bit of singing now. That is sort of a hallmark of a B.J. Meyer concert. I like to mix things up by having audience participation, as it were, if you will. So I'm hoping, and I didn't realize this until shortly before the concert started, that some of you may not have hymnals, so you may have to turn around, but the hymnals kind of got scattered. But we're going to sing what I hope is a familiar Christmas carol. I will confess that when I have sung Angels We Have Heard on High in nursing homes, I've been surprised that not as many people know this as I would have thought. I grew up singing it, but anyway, it's found on page 100 in your hymnal. We're going to sing the first, third, and fourth stanzas. I will confess, though, if you read the notes on the page, you're going to quickly discover that my arrangement is slightly different. I've been Baptist for quite a long time, and no offense to us Baptists, but the United Methodists, in my opinion, I think have us beat on this one. I just like their arrangement a little better, so I'm going to play the arrangement from the Methodist hymnal. It's still the melody you know, but if you sing that alto or tenor part, it might be slightly different. Also, by the way, this is the kind of selection that is where, back in the old days, you'd say, "Look, Mom, no hands." I pre-recorded this. One of the neat features of this organ is you can record yourself playing. So I'm going to invite you to stand as you're able, and we're going to sing the first verse. Chose that version. Thank you. You can be seated. And by the way, hello to those of you online. I failed to acknowledge that. We are streaming the concert, and so the people in that back there, they're with that camera. You can't see them, but they're at home. Hello, welcome. We're going to continue now. I'm going to go, is that right? Where am I? No, okay. Oh, very good. All right, see, this is why I have notes. Okay. I don't usually do this at a concert, and to be perfectly honest, I don't know why, but I'm going to have a piano organ duet next. I've never done that at a concert before. My friend Meg plays the piano here for us at Central, and she plays it wonderfully, and so this gave me an excuse, an opportunity to ask her to play and participate. So This is an arrangement I wrote for us to play, and it's of the wonderful carol, It Came Upon the Midnight Clear. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you, Meg. Okay, so this is actually going to be the last selection I play on the organ before I go over to the piano for the next two. So this next selection is arranged by James Mansfield and is one of the carol Silent Night. This work starts quietly with the strings playing the work. After a modulation and key change, the melody is now played in the solo orchestral flute, as we call that stop on this organ. I'm going to pause for a moment and say that if you close your eyes when that flute comes in, you'll be hard-pressed to tell whether or not I've invited a flautist friend of mine to come versus it being the organ. It's fooled a lot of people. It's very well done. Whoever engineered that, my compliments. So here now is Silent Night by James Mansfield. So as I mentioned a moment ago, I'm going to go to the piano now. I'm going to take a little trip over for these next two selections. If I had thought far enough ahead, I would have given myself some traveling music to go from one to the other, but anyway. I've been doing these programs for a number of years, but it wasn't really until I officially launched what I call B.J. Meyer Music back in 2018 that I tried to intentionally include piano as part of my performances. I would have considered myself an organist primarily first and a piano player or a pianist second. My journey is a little different, and without going too far off the beaten trail, I started when I was about 19, and I was more interested in learning this instrument than I was the piano. I'd never taken piano lessons. I was a clarinet player of all things, and but I just had a really neat organist at the church I was attending at the time, and she made it look cool. And so anyway, long and the short of it, I learned organ first. So that's probably part of the reason why. But back in 2018, I began to want to get more out of my compositions and arrangements. I had been writing since I was in high school for, you know, our band and that sort of thing. But while it was fun, it took a lot of work, you know, so it didn't necessarily come easy. So in 2018, I decided to sort of finally kind of enroll in a music composition course and learn how to kind of hone my craft and write a bit more. So that's when I kind of got the idea to sort of launch this music ministry, B.J. Meyer Music. And back in 2018, I recorded my first album for piano, which was basically my selections, my compositions, and a couple of hymn tune arrangements sprinkled in. So, and then just this past year, I recorded a Christmas album for the first time called Christmas Joy. And then the pandemic, of course, kind of made that hard to kind of, you know, share with everybody. So tonight, this afternoon, I'm going to play two selections for you from that Christmas Joy album. The first is an arrangement of Hark the Herald Angels Sing, and the second is Away in a Manger. And as soon as I travel over to the other side, I'll start. Yes. Okay. All right. We're gonna sing again, Mike O'Sullivan. I hope that's okay. We are gonna sing one more song, and then I've got a couple more selections to kind of close us out. This is another one of my favorite carols. It's the First Noel, and it should be found, I believe, on page number 85. 85. You'll turn there, and. And because it's my program, I decided that I liked all four stanzas, so we're going to sing all four. I hope that's okay. So once again, stand as you're able, and we'll sing this. The first I probably should pause and say, if you're new, it might seem odd what I'm doing, but if you attend church here, then you know that I just grab whatever part I feel like in the moment. So sometimes I'm a tenor, sometimes I'm a bass, sometimes I'm an alto, depending. So, but anyway, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and introduce the next selection from here, and then I'll go over to the organ. This next composer has become a hero of mine, I'll say, in recent years. I was always fond of him and his works when I first started playing some 20-odd years ago, which, as a side note, Sounds very weird to say that I've been doing anything professionally for 20 years, but here we are. So, all right, I'll be 40 in January. That's just the way it is. I have to accept it. There it is. Okay, sorry, that was free. Okay. But anyway, I was very fond of this composer because he wrote for all levels of church musicians. So he wrote music that I was able to play when I was first starting out as an organist, and he wrote music that I'm able to kind of play now, and he has written music that I aspire to play. So he covers all the levels. Notice how I kind of slot myself in the middle. That's where I am. But anyway, he passed away in 2015, and it wasn't until I did a little research a few years ago that I found out just how prolific of a composer he really was. The name in your program that you see is David Paxton, which is a pen name for a gentleman by the name of Mr. Lanny Smith. And if anybody in here is familiar with church music, you may have sung an anthem or, played a piece by him. But Mr. Smith wrote over 1,000 works. He wrote over 1,000 pieces of music for organ, piano, and choir. So kind of gives me something to shoot for, but I'm nowhere near there. But because of this body of work, he wrote under 6 different pen names that at least we know of, and David Paxton was just one of them. So I've always loved this particular arrangement that he did of the Austrian carols, Still, 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 and I hope you enjoy it too. A little bit of subtle humor there at the end. Again, that is something that you'll only get at a B.J. Meyer concert. You get the rolling timpani with the feet and the pecking of the nose for a chime when you're out of fingers. So, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'll let you decide. But as we kind of close things out, first of all, again, thank you so much for coming. Merry Christmas. And I wanted to just kind of do what I used to call, back when I was a band director and teaching, a bit of housekeeping, if you will. Before I play this last selection, I just wanted to kind of call your attention to a few things. Today, after the program, if you're interested, you heard me mention about a Christmas album that I put out last year called Christmas Joy. I have copies of that here today. Those are on sale for $10. If you'd like that, if you don't like that, that's okay. I won't give you the stink eye, I promise. But if you want it, it's there. I also have the other piano album I mentioned. It's called Just Beyond the River, and that's just, it's an album that's it's mostly soft meditative music, but a couple of clarinet selections sneak their way in. As I mentioned, I'm a clarinet player. One of the selections on that album is kind of an upbeat number I wrote for my kids called Daddy's Joy. It's just a fun little piece, and so that's on there with the Just Beyond the River album. And then my very first album I ever recorded for organ, Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee, has some organ selections on there. So if you like the organ, it's not Christmas, but we could pretend like it's Christmas. I don't know. But anyway, that's available there too. The very youthful lady in the back that looks like my sister, my mother, will be back there. So if you're interested, you can see her at the back table there. However, if you're like me and your car doesn't have a CD player, I have you covered. You can go to my website. I have a website. How about that? I have a website. It's simply www.bjmeyermusic.com. Very easy to remember. But if you go there, you can download any of the music in digital formats. So you can put that on a USB stick and put that in your car, or you can just have it on your computer if you like. I know some people don't have CD players anymore, so that's an option if you'd like to do that. And you can just kind of poke around on my website too, incidentally. There's sort of more about me, how I came to music and how I came to this. And as I've mentioned, I write my own arrangements a lot of the time. So if you're a musician and you'd like to play, some of that stuff, that's available for sale there too. If you'd like to just simply follow me and follow what I'm doing, I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, BJ Meyer Music. You go on Facebook and type that in. You can click the like button, and you can kind of follow me there and see what I'm up to. It's interesting. So there you go. I'll leave it at that. And then lastly, I have a YouTube channel. Same thing, BJ Meyer Music. Every Tuesday I put out kind of a short little program called Tuesday Night Music, so you can check that out and follow that in there. And then finally, if you liked what you heard today and you want to donate $1 or $2, you're welcome to do that. There's some plates in the back as you leave. Again, won't give you the stink eye if you didn't like it. That's fine too. I understand that. But if you want to do that, there it is. Okay. Musicians hate talking about money, so we're done with that. I'm going to get back to some music now. The last selection I'm going to play today for you is an original composition by James Mansfield. We heard from him earlier with the Silent Night arrangement. This is an original work now that he wrote. It's called Let Christians All with Joyful Mirth. And it sounds like a carol. I mean, honestly, it sounds like something you might have sung before, but it's not. It's just an original melody, and he is just that good that he wrote it in a style that sounds like a carol that we all sing. So the trumpet will carry this melody, filling the room with joy and mirth. See what I did there? Because the title had joyful mirth. Oh, okay. So yeah, all right. Okay. So there it is. Thank you all so much for coming, and I will leave you with this last song. So just again, thank you all so much for coming, both here in person and online. We still see you there. Thank you for attending online, and hope to see you next time. If you sign up on Facebook, you'll be sure to know when the next program is. God bless you all. Thank you again.